Welcome to the May 2021 Star Wars Canon Update. Last month, The Bad Batch began, and we got 7 new comic issues, including the start of the War of the Bounty Hunters crossover event, so let's dive in. Let's start with The Bad Batch. We got the first 5 episodes of the season, and it's off to a fantastic start. As the Empire rises, Hunter, Tech, Wrecker, and Echo rescue a young clone girl named Omega from Kamino. They head off on their own because their enhancements allowed them to be protected from their inhibitor chips and Order 66, but Crosshair was not so lucky, staying behind to lead a new breed of Imperial soldier. The rest of the batch learn to live without the safety net of the Republic and how to raise their new and youngest member. Most animated Star Wars series have what I would call a growing period, time spent introducing a younger audience to the galaxy and the stakes, but since this is a direct continuation of the Clone Wars, The Bad Batch seemingly gets to skip all that. The series premiere was a blast, and it very quickly made me care about the main cast, who were all very extreme caricatures in their Clone Wars arc. Omega and her growing relationships are adorable to watch, but it's also got some serious stakes in not only Crosshair, but the rest of the Empire, Fennec Shand, and the looming threat that their chips could still somehow activate. I know some people cried filler for some of these episodes, but I completely disagree. Every episode has shown some major plot developments or crucial character growth. It's something I look forward to watching every Friday morning now. I'll link to my reviews in the cards if you want to hear more of my thoughts about each individual episode. But I should point out, since this is the canon update, there were some things this series did that bumped heads with previous story material, most notably the Kanan comic. Things play out a little differently for Kanan when it comes to Order 66. I don't want to dive into it all now, I just wanted to mention it because I'm sure someone would have brought it up if I hadn't. If you want my full thoughts on the matter, I'll post the video I already did on it in the cards. Moving into comics with the High Republic's 5th issue, the Jedi dealt with the emerging Drengir threat on the planet Sedri Minor and on Starlight Beacon. To make things worse, Skier struggled to control his own Drengir infection, and the Hutt cartel arrived to cause some trouble of their own. But they wound up joining forces with the Jedi to survive, and Kiev mind-tricked her master, and therefore the Drengir, into retreating, for now. This is the end of the first arc of the series, and I've really enjoyed it. There have been plenty of twists, turns, and surprises. I'm so excited to see the Hutts of this time and how they're gonna operate. I also think their alliance with the Jedi is gonna have some lasting consequences. I talked in more depth about the first 5 issues in yesterday's video if you want to check that out, but it's been a lot of fun to read while waiting for the new books to come out. The High Republic Adventures number 4 might be beginning to repair the rift between Crix and Zine. Zine has been hanging out with the Jedi, and Crix has been with the Nihil, and despite feeling betrayed by one another, they concoct a plan to meet up amidst a battle between the two factions. Lula and her friends set off to make sure they protect their new friend, and of course the Nihil are doing their own thing, and Marchion even threatened Crix's life. I'm genuinely curious to see how this all shakes out. I've been enjoying this series as well, far more than I usually enjoy the Adventures line, but I also feel like I have some slightly spoilery insight from reading the Wave 2 books, so I'll keep quiet and move on for now. The 5 remaining comics of May were tied into the War of the Bounty Hunters crossover event, beginning with the Alpha issue that kicks it all off. Han Solo's carbonite starts to glitch and thaw out, so Fett has to make a pit stop on Nar Shaddaa and do a favor for someone to get that fixed. It's funny how similar that setup is to the structure of so many Mandalorian episodes. Is it a cultural thing? Are they just favor traders? Anyway, while Fett is off fighting in a gladiatorial arena, some unknown bounty hunters snake the now fixed Han Solo out from under him. Upset with Boba, Jabba puts a bounty on his head, so now Fett is going to have to race to recover Solo to save his life and his reputation. I thought this issue was just fine overall. I do like the reason Boba loses Han in the first place, but some of it also felt kind of convenient just for the sake of getting the story rolling, and that's fine. I get that there's a lot of pieces that need to be set up for 5 ongoing comic series to converge into one. So let's move on to Star Wars issue 13. Luke and Chewbacca hear of Boba Fett's troubles on Nar Shaddaa, so they head to the Smuggler's Moon themselves. They get some new leads from Sagwa, one of the Wookiees Chewie helped save from Kessel, and I thought that was a great connection. So now they're hot on the trail of the bounty hunter and hopefully Han, and we also get to see that Luke's skills in the Force are continuing to grow. R2-D2 pulls up his database of Jedi outposts and temples that he downloaded from the Death Star, and potentially sets Luke up to explore those while they're on their quest to rescue their friend. This was probably my favorite issue of all the preludes to War of the Bounty Hunters. It felt the least forced to me. But Bounty Hunters 12 was also pretty good. The series as a whole feels like it's almost been treading water, waiting for the other comics to catch up to where it is for the crossover, but this prelude got into Valance's motivations for saving Han. Basically, he feels like he owes the smuggler for saving his life back in the Han Solo Imperial Cadet comic. I do really appreciate how closely connected all of Valance's comic appearances have felt. His story seems very deliberate. Unfortunately, we see a flashback to a time where Valance rescued Han from an assassination, but Solo thought Valance was trying to kill him, so I imagine he wants to clear the air in that regard. Darth Vader 12 was kind of a strange issue. I don't know, this arc kind of fizzled out for me. I was intrigued by the Exegol stuff as we built to it, but then it was pretty much what I expected. Compare that to all the other Vader series in the past, which have done a great job at surprising me. This issue was about Vader being rebuilt because he got messed up on the way to Exegol, and during that time he's just mad at Luke for not joining him and decides to destroy his friendships to weaken his resolve. So he's going after Han. And to do that, he sets up a partnership with the new Hutt character, Baku, who looks pretty cool. I also like that Ochi is still along for the ride. But again, this issue felt weirdly paced to me as it prepares to jump into the crossover event. And finally, we come to Dr. Aphra issue 10. It was fine. This arc in general just wasn't landing for me. I like to read Aphra because it's really out there and strange and swings for the fences to do some weird stuff. I didn't feel that in these past few issues. Aphra has been trying to recover a Nile Path engine with Sana, and I like that connectivity to the High Republic, but it was pretty surface level, and the engine winds up being fake and Aphra destroys it, but recovers a piece of it to give to her benefactor so she isn't executed. She and Sana are allowed to leave, and then I don't know what they're doing or how they're going to tie into War of the Bounty Hunters, except we see that Dirge is on the way, which I love. While I wasn't into this arc, I think Dirge and the Bounty Hunters crossover can really spice the series back up. Dirge is a weird and over-the-top character, and I think he's perfect for this comic. I'm just curious what's next for these characters, and why they'll be interested in rescuing Han. I guess Sana has some history with him, and Aphra could want the payday? It's wait and see time. For Story of the Month in May, I'm giving it to the premiere episode of The Bad Batch. It's probably the best premiere episode of any animated Star Wars property. June is going to be a big month. We're continuing The Bad Batch with 4 more episodes. We're getting the next 2 High Republic books, which I promise are well worth the wait. There's a High Republic short story and 8 new comics, 6 of which will be the actual start to the War of the Bounty Hunters. No more preludes. The crossover begins. That's 16 new Star Wars stories. I think the slow time for Star Wars fans has officially ended. From now on, and for the foreseeable future, I think we're going to have a pretty constant stream of new content on Disney Plus, on top of more consistent publishing and comic releases, so buckle up. But that's it for today. The Canon Update will return on July 1st to cover all those upcoming stories. Until then, please like this video, subscribe to the channel to keep up with those stories as they're released, follow us on Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and consider checking out our Patreon page. As always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.